Hi, and welcome to another episode of Get Your Chat On with GYC Vegas, recorded and produced at the Video Podcast Studio. I'm your host, Gina Yager, founder and director of GYC Vegas, an award-winning PR and marketing agency. We believe every company has a story to tell, and we're passionate about getting businesses recognized. At Get Your Chat On, we sit down with local professionals to get to know a little about their organization, their role, and their perspective on our vibrant business community here in Southern Nevada. On today's episode, we're chatting with Dr. Michelle Region-Sebest, Associate Professor of Business at Nevada State University. Currently in her sixth year at NSU, Michelle teaches courses including international business management, entrepreneurship, and organizational behavior, and conducts research focusing on workplace inclusivity, diversity, and skills that drive business success. Recognized with NSU's Excellence in Teaching Award in 2021 and the Society for Advancement of Management's Outstanding Faculty Advisor Award in 2023, Michelle is passionate about preparing the next generation of business leaders to thrive in today's dynamic global marketplace. Hi, Michelle. Thank you so much for joining us.
Wow, thank you so much. That was wonderful. I appreciate it.
You're so welcome. So tell us about NSU's business programs and your role at the university.
Yeah, thank you for asking. So, like you said, I joined NSU a little over 6 years ago. And when I began, honestly, I wasn't sure where I was going to fit because I have a lot of interests, but my background and my first love as far as academia is concerned is in management. And I was afforded the opportunity to create the classes I thought I would love to teach. And so, yeah, I was able to create an international business course because I have a background in international business. I also was able to take some of the topics that I feel are a little bit hard for people to navigate in business and create courses around them, like change management. So we have a really robust business department where there's specialists in every area. We have a specialist in accounting and in finance and in economics. And I sort of shared the specialty of management with a great friend and colleague, Dr. Batiste. And so I just seem like I found my home there. There's a lot of interesting little enclaves in our business department, some wonderful concentrations like human resource management and sports management.
Oh, cool.
And as an associate professor, like I said, I was afforded the opportunity to create classes that not only I love to teach, but I think are really important for business students to take out into the world with them.
That's awesome. So what are some of the key milestones that shaped your transition from the corporate world to earning your Ph.D. and becoming a university professor?
Yeah, that's a really
tell us your story.
Really interesting question. I never thought I was going to teach. I have to be honest. I tell my students that it was the last thing that was on my mind. I wasn't even sure I could do something like that. And interestingly enough, my mom was a special education teacher, and she would say, "I think you should teach." I'm like, "Oh my goodness, no, they won't like me." And I remember a couple of different times while I was working in, my background's in the sports apparel industry. I was working for my last company in industry, Quiksilver, Inc. And I had gone up through the ranks quite a bit. And by this point in time, I needed more than just running logistics and manufacturing. And don't get me wrong, it was an amazing job, and I got to travel around the world and do all kinds of things. But I wanted something else besides numbers and making sure that the garment that I wanted to create got created. So I remember getting the opportunity to guest lecture for Cal State Long Beach and guest speak for a couple of different local organizations like Women in International Business was one of them.
Right.
And it was during those times where I was just talking about things I knew with people who were colleagues or peers or in some cases even mentors. And it felt more like a conversation. Even if I was a guest lecturer, it felt more like a conversation. And as I was speaking, I remember looking out and getting the aha sort of moment for myself and for the people I was speaking with. And it just sort of set this fire somewhere in me, almost like maybe planted a seed, but I knew it was down there. And I thought to myself, wow, I want to do more of this. However, when I went to my boss, who at this time was a senior vice president, I said, I would really like to not travel quite as much as I'm doing because here's why. And I explained how I would love to maybe teach an adjunct class at Cal State Long Beach or do something along the lines of more guest speaking. And I pretty much was shut down like, no, that's not what we hired you to do. We need you. You have to be on call. You have to travel. And they paid me really well. And I sort of had a stockpile of money. And I was really ready for that change. And I gave it a lot of thought. And I thought, you know what? I want to pursue this. After almost 20 years of industry experience, I want to just see if this takes me somewhere. And so I left a very good paying job to go pursue this like new ambition. And I just really did feel like the catalyst was those couple of aha moments of speaking with an audience.
So did you move to Nevada for the job at NSU?
Okay, so it's another story. So I left Quiksilver. Again, it wasn't a spur of the moment. It took a long time to make the decision, but at this time, I was still married, and my ex-husband was a musician, quasi-famous guy, and he was a guitar designer. And, I said, I want something else to do. And he said, well, there's this guitar company in Austin, Texas, and I would really like to go see them because if I can get a job with them, then maybe we can just like go start over somewhere else, a cool place. It's, Austin was up and coming at the time. So, okay. So we took a little just fun trip to Austin. And of course, hi, I'm here. And he got the job. So I'm like, okay, I guess I am leaving my job and we're moving to Austin, Texas. So I moved there and I had that stockpile of money and I thought, what am I going to do? How do I make that aha moment sort of translate into a job now? So I started applying for like local colleges, adjunct professor, and I had already had my master's at this time. So I had my experience, my master's, and so they wanted me all over the place. I was actually teaching for 5 or 6 different schools at one point in time.
Wow.
As an adjunct, so a class here, but it was great because I didn't know how to teach. So I was getting my chops wet by going to all these different places. And so I started doing it, but because I never realized that was what I was going to do, I had done zero research on the fact that at that point in time, Austin had one of the highest per capitas of PhDs in the nation. So I wanted to do this full time and get benefits, and I was going up against PhDs. And so I really had to stop and think, if I'm going to do this, I have to also now go get my PhD. And so I did. I was working for a bunch of different schools and traveling and, to all the different campuses and working on my PhD at the same time. And it was nuts. It was actually more work than when I was working at the other place.
That's what I was going to ask you.
It was crazy and
busy.
making a lot less money too, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And so we were in Austin and then, I call it my lost decade now. Got a divorce. All these things happened. And while I was in Austin, I ultimately did get a full-time job once I got my PhD working for a university called St. Edward's University. And I met one of my dear friends now, Dr. Raul Tapia, who is an accounting professor here. We worked together at St. Ed's. He found a job here when we were just starting. He's been there, oh my goodness, I don't want to lie, a lot more years than me, senior faculty member. And I remember being sad when he left Austin, and I get a call saying, hey, we're growing. We're looking for some business professors. Why don't you come apply? And so he is the one who got me to come to Nevada. And I got the job and
Find your new home.
I did. And of course, I grew up in Southern California. So, Vegas isn't really a new place for me, but it's definitely a new place to work and live. So, and it's been, I love it. I couldn't be happier to go back to speaking about Nevada State. It's home for me. It just fits. It's the right size, the right population, who we cater to. It just fits.
So developing the minds of students, our next generation, preparing them for today's global marketplace. What's the mission that lies at the heart of your work, do you feel? You seem super passionate about what you're doing now.
Yeah, I am. And it's funny you would say that because as I think about mission, it's going to sound maybe silly, but I would say my mission is to let the students know that it's okay to make mistakes. And that might seem silly, but I grew up in a house where you had to get straight A's and you had to be perfect and, all that kind of crazy stuff. And it was very stressful, and you always felt like you couldn't do anything wrong or something bad would come from that. And then you realize as you get older, nothing bad comes from it. You learn, you grow. In fact, the only way you learn and grow is to make mistakes. And so when I am working in the classrooms with the students, I tell them, screw it up, go big. Like, if you're going to do it, mess it up, like as big as you can, especially here because it's low stakes. So you don't get an A. Okay. But you're going to learn so much from that. You will not learn if you strive to be perfect in everything you do. You're going to put yourself in a box and nothing's going to come from that. So mess up, make mistakes. And I mean that. And I don't think that people take it seriously until much later on. But haven't we all worked for those bosses that if the one thing goes wrong, they scream at you and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid to make a mistake. And what comes from that? Well, you start to hide things. I know, you start like, don't tell them, we're going to get in trouble. That doesn't work. Nothing good comes from that. And so I really tell them, screw up, make a mistake. And I think for me, my true mission is to teach them how to navigate those situations.
That brings me to my next question. So, how do you bridge your hands-on corporate experience with classroom learning?
Yeah. Well, I definitely have to. Poor students. They hear my war stories for sure.
You bring real-world insights, right?
I really do. But I do it on purpose. I'll say, you know what? I'm telling you all my mistakes. You go make your own mistakes. Don't make these. Listen to me. Listen, these were mine. These were mine. Go make your own mistakes. Don't do these things. But I also do that through a lot of experiential learning projects. I think one of the things that's important is to have them do that hands-on, almost internship-ish, but through a class setting, to do as much hands-on work as they can before they're out there. Again, it affords them the ability to learn and grow and make mistakes and things of that nature where the stakes aren't quite so high. Plus, they get to know me, and I'm not going to yell at them, right? I'm not that boss. So we've done work with the Las Vegas Lights.
Okay.
A handful of years back, right around COVID, the owner, Brett, had come to us and said, we'd love to work together. And I thought that'd be awesome because at that time it was his favorite term was getting butts in seats, because at that point in time, we were having a hard time everywhere, through all of hospitality and other, coming back from COVID. And so he came and my students interviewed him. What can we do for you? How can we help you? And ultimately he worked with 2 of my classes over the course of a semester. And they got to make real recommendations to him. And I think he took some and used them. And a couple of my students that got to know him through the project went on to intern with him. And
wow.
Yeah, it was really fun. And so, in addition to giving my war stories, I want them to go and kind of create their own through my classes as much as possible.
Your research focuses on workplace inclusivity, diversity, and business success skills. Why are these topics so crucial today?
Gosh, I'm afraid to even talk about a couple of them right now. I don't know what will come from that. So let's just focus on one. It's going way back to my earliest years working in the sports apparel industry. It was very male dominated. And I'm not going to stand on and, I'm the woman, hear me roar thing, but it was very male dominated because action sports, are risk taking and all that stuff. And there were times where I felt unheard, and there were times where I felt unincluded. And, that's just the nature of the beast. And it's better now, and it's changed, and there's so many more women involved. And so it's definitely moved forward. But at that time, it left a mark on me. And I remember thinking, I don't want other people to feel the way I did. And I think that is part of the inclusivity, research that interests me. But I'm also very interested in research that tells us whether or not what we're doing is working. Even when I was still in Austin, I worked with a lot of local business owners and interviewed them about our students that we had placed with them. Like, how did it work out? Did you get what you expected? Did they bring to the table what you thought you were going to get? And so then I kind of took that and brought it here as well. And I think it's important. You know, you can guess and hope, but that's not useful. And so the research is, are we doing what you need us to do? Are the students bringing to the table what your expectations were? And it was interesting because back then, one of the things that most employers brought up was they assumed students came with this understanding of how to use social media in the workplace. Well, they all know how to do selfies. We all are the same, right? We know how to do selfies and post videos and have fun with it, but it doesn't mean that we know analytics and how to make it useful for work. And so the same thing now I'm finding is they assume students know how to use AI in a positive way for business. And how? We're still learning about it.
Yeah.
You know? And so it's helping me be a better instructor for the students to grasp some of those concepts that I know employers are thinking students know, but how do they know what they don't know, right?
Right.
And so
Right.
that definitely is something that speaks to me research-wise. Help the students, you know, get the notoriety they deserve in a positive way.
So I know you've given a little bit of advice already, but looking back on your journey from international business to now in the teaching realm, what are some life lessons, some key things in the business place that you could offer to?
I made a note.
Offer to anyone listening, yeah.
I really thought about that because, you know, if I'm being brutally honest with myself, I was awful about taking advice. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I'm going to, you know, that didn't necessarily work for me, and it probably took me longer to get to places I needed to be because of it. And so I thought about that, and I don't want to sound like I'm telling people to do, you know, it's do as I say, not as I do sort of moment, but honestly, listen. Listen. People know things, you know. I've learned to listen to my students. Oh my gosh, they're so much smarter than I was at that time. You know, listen to people around you. Advice matters. People aren't just throwing it at you to bring you down. They really want to help. And so I think of all things, honest to God, listen.
It's not a critique,
No.
right? It's advice for
It really
to
is.
help shape you.
I wished I had done more of that. I wouldn't be doing that. I would have started doing this a lot earlier, I think. You know, when my mom said, "Hey, I think you'd like teaching," and maybe way back then, who knows? You know.
Was she still around to see you become a teacher?
No, she passed away. That's why I call Austin my lost decade. She passed away while I lived in Austin, and so she's been gone for quite some time. But my dad, on the other hand, who is 93 years old,
Wow.
is still with us, and I aspire to be just like that. He is a maniac, and I love it.
Well, let's talk about the future. Any upcoming initiatives or innovations that you're working on to prepare NSU students?
So, first of all, I have to give a little plug to one of my friends and colleagues in the business department. Dr. Bo Liang started a Women in Business Club at Nevada State
I've
University.
met her.
I just love her.
Yeah.
And the students love the club. It's so amazing. And so every March, she puts together a panel of local business, right? Have you done it?
I went to it last year. I wasn't on the panel, but I went to attend it. Yeah.
You need to be. I'm going to have to mention that. No, don't get mad. So, and so I have to plug that because she just does a wonderful job, and it's taking place again in March, spring of 2026.
Okay.
Just such a wonderful event. And then I have an entrepreneurship club, and it comes and it goes.
Okay.
I love it. I had an amazing group of board members, and they all graduated, and we just couldn't find people who wanted to take on the role because they had some really big shoes to fill. And so now I'm trying to reinvigorate that because I think it's so important. I think it's so important so that we're not only relying on very specific industries here, you know, more people going out and starting their own business is so important. So working on that.
Okay.
And then I'm doing some student research, and I know we all love to work with students one-on-one in research because we host an undergraduate research conference at Nevada State every spring.
Okay.
I don't know if you know that. And one of the things I'm working on is a student who is in digital media management. She's a creative, for sure, visual arts mainly. She wants to work on how do we harness AI and not hurt creators. You know, how do we use it for good instead of evil? Because we're not going to get rid of it. But as you know, and it's a really sore topic with a lot of creatives,
Right.
we don't want it to take away their positions. So how do we marry their positions with use of it? And so we're working on that research right now.
That's exciting. I'd love to hear about that
Yeah,
one.
me too. I'm excited about it.
Okay, well now we're getting into some fun. The fun part.
Boy.
It's we have a Mad Lib style
Okay.
fill in the blank about doing business in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So you've been here 6 years. You're practically a native.
I'm kind of,
You get
right?
up to speed very quickly when you live in this town. So just say whatever comes to mind. When teaching students about the business climate in Las Vegas, it's essential to emphasize
Networking, maintaining professional relationships, period.
right. The key to networking in Las Vegas is to always remember to
Not abuse those professional relationships. We can dive deeper into that sometime.
Nurture those,
Yes,
right?
Nurture them.
One thing every new transplant should know before doing business in Las Vegas is to never underestimate the power of
Community.
community.
Yeah.
When it comes to connecting with the business contact over coffee, lunch, or let's say dinner or drinks, you can't go wrong meeting up at.
Okay, so it depends on where.
Yes,
so I
of
have
course.
two.
Yes.
I love Gabby off of Spring Mountain in Vegas.
Oh, yes, that place is
Love
so cute.
that.
Mhm.
And then if you're on the Henderson side by school, I love Moms.
Moms, I've never been
Moms
there.
by Black Mountain.
All right, I got to try that.
Super fun. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I love hearing my guests' recommendations and
Yeah.
then going and trying. The best way to unwind after a long day of teaching and research is to indulge in some blank to recharge. For the
I have an
next day.
amazing partner at home, I have to say. He's an amazing person. I've known 47 years.
Oh, wow.
And he is the best listener. So I unwind by, I call it decompression, some decompressing conversations.
With your partner.
Yeah, with my partner. Yeah.
Oh,
that's my unwind.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to do a quick little lightning round of questions. That's super fun. It gets to kind of know what's in Michelle's head.
Oh,
you know, what is she imagining or fascinating, you know, having fascinating visions about. If you could teleport anywhere in the world right now, where would you go and why?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, I would say the UK. Specifically, I would be in, if we could do it simultaneously, it'd be great, England and Ireland. I have roots there,
Oh, nice.
family roots, but I also have amazing friends there that I never get to see, like once in the past 20 years. So I would like to go catch up with some old friends and some family
That
roots
sounds lovely.
stuff.
That is
Yeah.
on my bucket list of,
Yeah.
I have never been to the UK. I was planning on doing it this year, but it'll have to wait.
Yeah.
What did you want to be when you grew up?
Well, interestingly enough, I started out as a music major. I was a band geek from elementary school all the way out, and I started college as a music major. I realized quickly you cannot make a lot of money unless you become very famous. That wasn't going to happen, and you teaching, you know. So this is going to be a silly one. So when I realized I didn't want to do that, there was this show on when I used to work full time and go to school full time.
Uh-huh.
Every night, Thursday night was like, okay, I'm done. I'm home. It's 10 o'clock. I'm done working. I have one more. And I was so tired. I would just lay in bed and watch this stupid show called Knots Landing. It was like a nighttime soap opera.
Yeah, soap opera, yeah.
And there was this woman on there played by Donna Mills. Her name was Abby. And she was this cutthroat businesswoman. And I swear that's what I was going to be when I grew up.
Well, I think you became that,
Maybe
and now you're
hopefully
teaching.
not the cutthroat part, but
Yeah.
that's so.
But you
once
became a boss lady,
I
right?
became a boss lady. Yes. Yeah, that's what I was going to be.
That's funny. That was inspirational to me too, because I saw my mom as not landing, but my mom was also a professional, and,
Oh,
and
really?
it was I always aspired to be, you know, a working mom and a working woman. Yeah.
Oh
yeah.
well, you
Yeah.
know. Well, I hit a bit of it anyway.
Yeah.
Hopefully not too much. That's it.
If you could have a superpower to help your students succeed, what would it be, and how would you use it?
I have the superpower. Okay. I hate to say this. This is probably not I would want to read minds.
I have had guests say that before.
I would want to read minds because, you know, you look at somebody and you have this, and you think they get it and you're connecting, and something will come up later on, a question or a comment, and you're like, boy, did I misread that.
Yeah, that's what they were thinking.
Yeah. And so I feel like that would really help me at least capture any outliers that I was missing. So, yeah, I'd like to read minds.
Okay, and last one. If you could bring any business leader, past or present, to speak to your students, who would it be?
You know who I would really appreciate seeing come back? I know this is going to sound silly, and I'll tell you why, but Steve Jobs. Because I use him in so many of my classes of both what not to do and what to do, because I'll bring up his past and his earliest years. He was kind of a tyrant when you listen to what people had to say, and they were afraid of him. And while there was a lot going on in his earliest years, it was because they wanted to make sure they made him happy. And I'm like, that's, you know, is that the environment that you want? But I noticed as he got older and a little bit more polished, and you watch the transformation of who he really became as a leader. And I think he's so inspirational and somebody that I tell my students now, that's who you want to be. Look at how people listen to him, and look at how passionate he is and how he's honed that, and he's able to transfer that so that his people feel the same passion that he has. So you're no longer the person who people are afraid to disappoint. You're the, you know, the person that people can't wait to make happy.
Yeah.
And so I think I would love to hear like how that transformation occurred in real life. You know?
Yeah. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure talking to you today. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your story with us. Oh, is that the end of it? Yeah. Okay, sorry, you're going to have to cut that out. Okay, I'm going to start from... because I already said. So can you cut out the part where I'm like, thank you so much for, because if I go to, well, Michelle, it's been absolutely fascinating talking about your, Okay. So I'll just read that and then you can kind of edit whatever makes sense. Michelle, it's been absolutely, Michelle, it's been absolutely fascinating learning about your journey from the corporate world to academia and how you're preparing the next generation of business leaders here in Southern Nevada. Where can people learn more about NSU and follow up with you or follow up with the school?
Yes, nevadastate.edu. Definitely should go check out the website. It's great. It's, you know, really easy to navigate, and you can look me up in the business department, and I'm also on LinkedIn, Michelle Region-Sebest. The easiest way to look us up.
Thank you so much. Well, that's a wrap for today's episode. Be sure to follow us at GYC Vegas on Instagram, Facebook, X, and LinkedIn, and subscribe to our channel wherever you stream podcasts. And if you want to learn more about how your business or organization can enhance its marketing efforts through the power of PR, visit our website at gycvegas.com. Thanks for listening to Get Your Chat On with GYC Vegas, and we'll see you next time.